Oh, that's so hard. I've got so many moments I've enjoyed immensely and I'm so proud of. It can be anything from helping a rider overcome their fear on a steeply banked track and seeing the joy on their face for the first time that they ride around the top of the track on the rail, to helping people become world champions. We've coached a multitude of world champions over the last few years. Also, I think something that brings me great satisfaction and feels like you've really done something with somebody else is helping riders get onto a national team. And again, we've helped many riders get onto their national teams, and then I still follow their progress, keep in touch, and I've watched them win national championships, and some of them have even gone on to win elite world championships. I think for me, it's quite often the little things that really matter and can have just as much impact on somebody as the really big things. And it's really about that particular rider and realising whatever they're able to do and helping them do it, whether that be win a local race, at your track league, or whether that be winning the world championships. If that's what their talent is capable of doing, helping them achieve it gives me just as much satisfaction. It really is for me about helping that individual be the very best they can be while enjoying their sport and feeling part of something, and really I think it adds to their life and my life, and all of those achievements are what keeps me in love with cycling and in love with my coaching career. I love working with so many different people. The real challenge for me as a coach, and I like that challenge, is to be able to adapt myself to all the different people I have to work with. That can be a 14-year-old boy, and that can be a 60-year-old woman, that can be any walk of life, any income, and I have to adapt myself to be able to communicate with them in a way that they can understand, that encourages them and makes them feel supported. So, I just love that challenge of being able to look at somebody's goals, work back from their goals, figure out what we need to do today, what we need to do tomorrow, what we need to do next week, what we need to do next month, working towards their goals so that on their race day they're in absolutely the best form they can possibly be. I get a huge sense of achievement from that when it all works, and helping them and supporting them in that. But also each individual day, it's not just about the race. I'm very process orientated, and we work very hard on making sure all the little steps are done. So by the time they get to race day, they feel really confident and relaxed that it's going to happen for them, and there's much less pressure. So I started performance cycle coaching because to begin with, because I wanted people to train with. So I was training by myself. I was looking for people to train with, so I invited people to start training with me. I realised I loved this. I loved helping them. I loved thinking about what I was doing myself, and I'm very analytical, so the more I was thinking about it, the more I was enjoying it, the more I was reading up on it. I started to realise I was quite good at helping people. The first two people I coached both became national champions, and I remember being in Germany watching Pete Mitchell, a rider that I used to coach, at the European Championships, and thinking I didn't want to go back to my then day job of working in property. And that for me was the moment I thought I need to do this full time, and that was the start of the journey that led to performance cycle coaching. And within 6 months of coming back from Germany, I'd sold my property business and I was working full time as a coach. I've learned that people respond very differently to the same thing. So we all have different ways of learning, we all have different ways of responding. So for me as a coach, I have to adapt myself to get the most out of each different athlete. And I've also learned that the person who trains the hardest doesn't win. It's about recovery. And I think that's the biggest difference from being a coach and an athlete. When you're an athlete, you just want to train as hard as you can. And my athletes are often saying to me, Lee, I want to do more, and surely if I do more, I'll get faster. But if you don't give yourself the ability, the tools to recover, the time to recover, then you're not ready to train at the level required to take your performance forwards. And often as a coach, I'm telling riders to do less, not more. I think most of the people I work with are very motivated. I think as a coach, people think you can make them motivated and you can tell them what to do, And really you can't, it has to come from them. What you're doing is supporting them, you're helping them, and you're encouraging them, and you're keeping them on track. That motivation comes from them. It's not your job to shout at them to make them want to do it. It's your job to enable them to do it to the best of their ability, to keep them in check, to make sure they're doing the right things while also enjoying it and really having fun. This is what this should be about. It should be fun, and we should really enjoy what we do. So my coaching ethos is I want to enable my riders to be able to perform at their very best, and that's let's think of that as a big toolbox. That's physically perform at their very best, emotionally, psychologically, have the best equipment they can afford, have the best riding position, technically be the best rider on that track in that event, tactically be the best rider at that track in the event. We look at all of these marginal gain areas. We can get 1% here, 2% here. Add them all together and it makes a huge difference. So I'd say my ethos is looking at as many details, as many parts of somebody's performance, their approach to training, their approach to recovery, their approach to nutrition, adding this all together and producing this really polished athlete who really feels confident in what they're doing. And then they have myself or another performance cycle coaching coach with them to support them, to help them when they really need it, to give them that feedback, to give them that tactics to take into the race, and just to be there for our athletes and to realise it's about our athletes. It's not me. It's not about you winning to make me look good. It's about you winning because that's what I'm here to help you do. I'm here to support you. My ego is most definitely secondary to that rider's performance and them doing the best they possibly can.